Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Everyday English Channel with Tom and Kate. It's really nice to have you here with us.
Today we're going to talk about something very practical, how to practice English at home in a realistic way. Not in a classroom, not during an intensive course, just in your normal daily life, in your real environment.
Before we begin, if you enjoy these calm and practical English conversations, you can subscribe to the channel or share this episode with someone who's learning English. It really helps us, and we truly appreciate it.
Now, when people think about practicing English, they often imagine something intense, long study sessions, grammar books, pages of exercises. But in real life, most people don't have the time or the energy for that every day.
And the truth is, progress doesn't usually come from extreme effort. It comes from repetition, small actions done consistently.
Practicing English at home does not mean sitting at a desk for 3 hours every evening. It means integrating English into moments that already exist in your day.
That shift in thinking is very important.
Instead of asking, "When will I find time to study English?" you start asking, "Where can I insert English into what I already do?"
If you make that change, everything becomes easier.
For example, most people already listen to something every day. Music, radio, podcasts, videos in the background. You don't need to add a new activity. You just need to replace part of what you already consume with English content.
Even 10 minutes a day makes a difference.
And you don't need to understand everything. In fact, you shouldn't. If something is too easy, you don't improve. If it's too difficult, you get frustrated. Aim for something you mostly understand, but that still challenges you a little.
Another important idea is that practicing alone is not strange. Many learners believe they can only improve by speaking with other people. Of course, conversations are important, but a large part of language development happens alone.
Listening alone, reading alone, thinking alone, even speaking alone.
Yes, speaking alone.
This may feel uncomfortable at first, but it is one of the most effective habits you can build.
For example, while you're cooking, you can describe what you're doing. I'm cutting vegetables. I need more salt. This is too hot. These sentences are simple, but they activate your speaking muscles.
When you're getting ready in the morning, you can describe your plans. Today I have a meeting. I need to finish a report. I'll go to the gym after work.
You're not performing. You're not recording yourself. You're just practicing production.
This kind of micro-practice builds fluency without pressure.
Another simple technique is thinking in English during specific moments of the day. When you're walking somewhere, look around and describe what you see. It's cloudy. There are a lot of cars. That cafe looks busy. These are short sentences, but they build automatic thinking.
Over time, these small exercises reduce the time between thought and speech. You stop translating as much. You react faster.
And that's the real goal of practicing at home. Not perfection, not impressive vocabulary, just smoother reactions.
Reading is another area where home practice works very well. You control the difficulty. You choose short articles, blog posts, subtitles, product descriptions, or simple news summaries.
The key is not reading something difficult once. The key is reading something manageable regularly.
If you see a new word, you don't need to stop every time. Sometimes it's better to continue and understand from context. Only look up words that appear often or seem important.
The goal is exposure, not interruption.
One very practical habit is creating small English zones in your life. For example, you can decide that your phone settings will be in English, or your computer, or certain apps.
At first, it feels unusual. After a few days, it feels normal.
That's how integration works.
When English becomes part of your environment, it stops feeling like a separate task. It becomes something that exists around you naturally.
And when something feels natural, you're more likely to continue.
Consistency is more powerful than intensity. 15 minutes every day is better than 2 hours once a week.
If you build these habits slowly, without pressure, you create a routine that can last for years.
That's the foundation.
Once you've accepted that English can fit naturally into your day, the next step is creating a simple structure. Not something rigid, not a strict timetable, just a small routine that touches different skills during the week.
It helps to think in 4 areas: listening, speaking, reading, and light review.
Let's start with listening because it is the easiest to maintain long term.
Listening does not require energy in the same way studying grammar does. You can listen while doing something else: walking, cleaning, cooking, driving, exercising.
The key is choosing the right level.
If the content is too advanced, your brain switches off. You feel lost, and after a few days you stop. If it's too easy, you get bored. The sweet spot is something you mostly understand, but that still includes new expressions.
Another powerful habit is repetition. Many learners always search for new content, but repetition is more effective than constant novelty.
If you listen to the same short episode 2 or 3 times during the week, something interesting happens. The first time, you understand the general idea. The second time, you notice vocabulary. The third time, you catch pronunciation details and rhythm.
Repetition builds automatic recognition.
Now let's talk about speaking in a more structured way.
A very realistic habit is what we can call daily recap. At the end of your day, take 2 minutes and describe what happened out loud, not in your head.
For example, this morning I worked from home. I answered emails. In the afternoon I had a meeting. Tonight I'm going to relax.
It doesn't need to be impressive. It needs to be fluid.
Another practical method is shadowing. This means listening to a short sentence and repeating it immediately, trying to copy the pronunciation and rhythm.
Shadowing is extremely effective because it trains listening and speaking at the same time. It also helps with natural intonation, which many learners struggle with.
You don't need to shadow for 20 minutes. Even 5 minutes is enough.
Now let's look at reading in a more practical way.
Instead of reading one long, difficult text, choose short, regular pieces. For example, one short article every morning with your coffee, or a few pages of a simple book before bed.
The objective is consistency.
If you encounter new words, decide in advance how you will handle them. You can choose to ignore most of them and only look up important ones. Or you can keep a small notebook where you write 3 new expressions per day, not 10, not 20. 3.
Small limits prevent overload.
Finally, let's talk about light review.
Review does not need to mean grammar exercises. It can simply mean revisiting what you've already heard or read.
For example, if you listen to a podcast in the morning, try to summarize it in the evening, even with simple sentences. The episode was about daily habits. It explained how repetition helps memory. That kind of short summary strengthens retention.
Another review method is writing short notes in English, a shopping list, a to-do list, a short message to yourself. When you use English for small, practical tasks, it becomes functional instead of theoretical.
The most important thing in all of this is sustainability.
If your routine is too ambitious, you will stop. If it is small and realistic, you will continue.
And long-term continuation is what creates visible progress.
You don't need perfect discipline, you need manageable habits.
If you practice a little every day, English stops feeling like something you study. It becomes something you live with.
One common mistake people make when practicing at home is trying to improve everything at the same time. They want better grammar, better pronunciation, more vocabulary, faster speaking, and perfect understanding immediately. That approach usually leads to frustration.
Instead, it helps to focus on one small priority each week.
For example, one week you might focus mainly on listening. The next week, you give more attention to speaking. After that, you focus on vocabulary. This does not mean you ignore the other skills completely. It simply means you give extra attention to one area at a time.
This prevents mental overload.
Another realistic strategy is attaching English practice to fixed daily anchors. Anchors are moments that already happen every day without fail. For example, your morning coffee, your commute, your lunch break, or your evening routine.
If you connect English to one of those anchors, the habit becomes automatic.
For instance, every morning while drinking coffee, you read one short English article. Or every evening after dinner, you listen to 10 minutes of English audio. Because the anchor already exists, the practice becomes easier to maintain.
Environment also plays a role.
If all your surroundings are in your native language, your brain automatically stays in that language. But if small elements of your environment switch to English, your brain adapts.
You can change the language on your phone. You can follow English-speaking creators on social media. You can subscribe to English newsletters. You can label objects in your home with English words if that helps you remember vocabulary.
None of these actions are dramatic, but together they create immersion.
Another powerful tool is recording yourself.
Many learners avoid this because they feel uncomfortable hearing their own voice. But recording short audio messages can be extremely useful. You don't need to publish them. You don't need to share them. They are for you.
For example, once a week, record yourself speaking for 2 or 3 minutes about your week. Then listen to it. You'll notice repeated mistakes, pronunciation habits, or words you use too often. Awareness alone improves performance.
Over time, you will hear progress.
It's also important to accept that some days will be weak. You will feel tired. You will skip practice. That's normal. The goal is not perfection. The goal is returning quickly after a break.
If you miss one day, continue the next. Don't wait for Monday. Don't restart next month. Just continue.
Consistency is not about never stopping. It's about not stopping for long.
Another realistic idea is creating small challenges for yourself. For example, one day you decide to think only in English while cooking. Another day you decide to write your entire to-do list in English. Another day you decide to describe everything you see during a short walk.
These small challenges make practice active instead of passive.
It's also useful to measure progress in simple ways.
Instead of asking, "Am I fluent yet?" ask, "Can I speak for 2 minutes without stopping?" Or, "Do I understand this podcast more easily than last month?" Small measurements are motivating because they are visible.
Finally, remember that home practice prepares you for real conversations. Even if you're alone, you are training your brain to react faster, to retrieve vocabulary more easily, and to feel less stress.
When the opportunity to speak with someone appears, you'll notice that your responses come more naturally.
And that's when you realize that all those small daily habits were working quietly in the background.
A practical way to make home practice even more effective is to keep it realistic and specific. Instead of saying, "I'll practice English tonight," which is vague, you decide exactly what you'll do.
For example, I'll listen to 10 minutes of English audio while cooking. Or, I'll read one short article with my coffee. Or, I'll record a 2-minute recap of my day.
When the action is clear, it's easier to start, and starting is usually the hardest part.
Another useful idea is to build a small default routine for days when you have low energy, because not every day is a high motivation day. Some days, you just want to do the minimum.
So you create a plan for those days, something small but consistent.
For example, your low-energy routine could be 5 minutes of listening and 2 minutes of speaking. That's it, 7 minutes total. Easy to do, but still keeping contact with English.
This protects your consistency.
Because the real danger is not missing a day. The real danger is stopping for weeks.
It can also help to choose 1 or 2 simple topics that you repeat often. This might sound boring, but it's powerful. When you repeat the same topics, you reuse the same vocabulary, and your fluency becomes smoother.
For example, you can regularly talk about your day, your plans, your work, your weekend, your food, your sleep, or the weather. These are simple topics, but they cover most daily conversation situations.
And if you want to make it more interesting, you can change the angle. One day, you describe your day in a very simple way. Another day, you describe it with more detail. Another day, you talk about what you would like to change. This keeps practice fresh, but still familiar.
A final practical point. Don't wait until you feel ready to use English. Feeling ready often comes after action, not before it.
If you practice little by little at home, you will notice something subtle but important. Your reactions become faster. Your listening becomes less tiring. You start recognizing phrases without translating. And your speaking becomes more automatic.
That doesn't happen in 1 week, but it happens in a very realistic way over a few months if you stay consistent.
And the best part is that you don't need a perfect lifestyle to do it. You don't need to live abroad. You don't need a teacher every day. You just need small, repeated contact with English.
So if you take one idea from today, let it be this. Build a routine that you can actually keep. Small, practical habits that fit into your real life. That's how progress becomes inevitable.
Before we finish, thank you very much for spending this time with us. We're really glad you joined us for this episode.
If you enjoyed this conversation and you want more calm, practical English like this, you can like the video, subscribe to the channel, or share this episode with someone who's learning English. It really helps the channel grow.
Join us in the next episode for another everyday English conversation.
Thanks again for listening.
And remember, keep speaking English every day.